Hello. Welcome to the Nerdy Folks Podcast, a conversation about the nerdy things we love and the things that matter most. My name is Matthew Seipel-Anderson.
And I am Katie Seipel-Anderson.
We are the hosts of the Nerdy Folks Podcast. We love this community. We're glad you are with us today as we talk about The Acolyte, episodes 5 and 6. Last week's episode was about number 5, but that was a solo one. It was pretty short. That one had some massive things, and I didn't want to spoil too much. And
they both kind of had massive things in them, though.
That's true. This series is definitely heating up. But before we jump into it, can I share a little news?
Yes, you can share news.
Awesome.
But am I going to say no? Let's move on.
So, as you may or may not know, Rings of Power Season 2 comes out August 29th. So, only a couple months away. Very exciting.
Like a month and a half.
Yeah, and I read a very spicy rumor, and I just had to share it on the podcast today. Rumor has it that Galadriel is not going to be the main character in Season 2.
Really?
She'll, of course, still be a she'll be a very important character, of course. But rumor has it that Celebrimbor, or is it Celebrimbor, will be the main protagonist. Now, he's the elf who actually forges the rings.
Oh.
And in this season, according to the little snippets we're getting, the pictures that are coming out now, Sauron is going to disguise himself as an elf and work his way into the inner circle where the rings are being forged. Which actually is really cool because a lot of fans were grumpy about the way Galadriel was portrayed because she's portrayed as a warrior in Rings of Power, but not so much as a warrior in the books.
Oh, I see.
So people thought...
Which I still need to finish reading.
I think it makes sense that someone with a super long lifespan could have been a warrior for one season of their life and transitioned into more of like a sage, queen, wizard, magical lady in the forest.
It's not a stretch.
Right. But fans are grumpy about it. This makes sense, A, for the story, and there's not a lot about this character other than he did the rings, this is where he was, just some little details so they can easily be more liberal with writing their own story, just using a few light posts from Tolkien.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right, but this is not an episode about Rings of Power. That will be coming in August, most likely, or September. Today is an episode about The Acolyte. These episodes were titled Night, that was episode 5, and Teach/Corrupt.
Ooh, you know what? That is a good title for that second one. So, spoiler alert, we will be talking about things in the episodes that will spoil the episodes for you. So if you haven't seen either one yet, you might want to hit pause and then come back after you've watched them. Unless you want them spoiled.
Buyer beware. So who is your most... let me say it this way. Which death were you the most surprised by in episode 5? Because episode 5 was literally just a huge laser sword battle.
It might have been...
Jackie.
It might have been Jackie. I either that or...
Yord.
Either that or Yord. Of course, both of them are surprising. I think Yord surprised me more because I really thought he was going to get away. Because when him and Osha were like running to the ship, I actually thought maybe they would get away. But then once they went back, I'm like, I don't know. It just happened in a surprising way, I think. But Jackie did surprise me because the way they were having her fight and how connected she was, it seemed like she might be a character that would go on to the next season or something like that.
She was a cool character, and I thought her fight scenes were really great. She had a lot of physical prowess, and I really thought her lightsaber fighting was really, really good. So yeah, I was really sad when they took her down, but it was a pretty cool way to reveal the Sith Lord. Because at that point, his helmet got knocked off, and then he kills her, and then she falls down.
And then that revealed him, yes.
He rises up, and it's like, ugh.
There he is, and I called it, kind of.
Yeah.
I had one or two people.
You had suspected
Chimere
him all along.
Only after the Sith showed up right after May was like, I'm not doing this anymore. And then when the Sith magically showed up, I'm like, wait a second. So I'm not that great.
It's kind of like in the 70s Superman movies when people are like, oh, where's Clark Kent? Oh, look, it's Superman.
Yeah. So I didn't call it early on. I called it right before. And it wasn't much of a stretch.
You know what you also called? You called that Basil would have a more important role, and he totally did. In these 2 episodes, he was the one who sniffed out May when she was masquerading as Osha.
Basil sniffed it out and knew.
What would have been awesome is if in that moment Saul would have reached into his robe and got out like a dog treat and gave it to him.
It's not a dog. He just has a good nose, but obviously can communicate really well, although our dog can communicate pretty well too.
That's true. So I thought Yord, going back to Yord, would be kind of a Spock-like character. I thought they could have a lot of fun with him, and I thought he could be on a growth path.
I think that's why it's so surprising though, because they actually did the character development on people, and you could see the potential, and you could see them continuing on and having more developed roles, and then they killed them off. And I think that's why that scene, these past couple episodes, have been so surprising, because it's just wiped people out, and now it puts Saul in question. Mm-hmm. And they've been kind of shadowing over his character a little, indicating that, there might be something more there than what we know about him right now.
He clearly has a guilty conscience, and he's literally been saying so. And it turns out the series is definitely about the sins of the past coming back to roost. It seems like that's a big theme. I thought they were going to kill off Saul and move forward with the younger characters, and then they were going to sort of unravel the mystery of the past and maybe help to forge a brighter future. But it just seems like it might be a sad future.
Yeah. I do think Saul's going to die at some point.
He could definitely die in a way that would be redeeming. Maybe he's on a redemption arc.
Yeah, it's hard to know because we don't actually know what happened. So we don't know if he needs redeeming yet.
So I heard a rumor that next week's episode is going to be another flashback episode, like the much-hated episode 3.
Well, I mean, another flashback like that, but hopefully the episode won't be much hated.
Hopefully.
Hopefully they've done a better job so
Yes.
that people won't hate it.
I'm sure people will love it because it's
Wait, the next episode is going to be a flashback?
That's a rumor I heard. I don't know if it's true.
Because I just want to know what happens, what Saul tells May.
Well, I think it's going to be like the story of what Saul tells her, but, in flashback form.
In flashback form. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I really just want to know.
They
left it hanging, and I was just waiting for that.
What I want is for the episode to start with Saul's voice saying, "Once upon a time." And then for it to go to a flashback.
I hope that doesn't happen.
One of the most important scenes of the series so far happened in episode 6 when Chimere and Osha are together and they're talking, and Chimere is really starting to draw her into his side and his point of view.
Really manipulating her at a time when she's very vulnerable, I'd say. She just lost all of her friends and family. And, I mean, her family, her sister, just attacked her and left her for dead. And then the bad guy actually saved her. And can you imagine the confusion she's facing right now? And she was already questioning Saul because Saul was saying that he's going to explain everything to her. And so she's probably wondering what's going on. May started questioning her because she said she's brainwashed. That's probably messing with Osha's head too. She's just in a really bad place.
And she had some bad feelings toward the Jedi in general, but Saul she did really trust. And now her faith in Saul is shaken, like you mentioned. So she's in a really vulnerable place. And this reminds me of a conference I went to. And one of the speakers said, don't make any big decisions when you are halt. H-A-L-T. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And it seems like that's exactly what Osha's about to do.
She's like all the things right now. And it does seem like she's making some bad decisions when the scene ends and she like puts on that helmet and you hear that like Darth Vader-y sounding breathing coming out of her. It's like, uh-oh, what's going to happen in the future with her? And the manipulation tactics he used were really quite extraordinary. She's already in a vulnerable place. She probably has some feelings of, thank you for saving me, but I really don't like you. I really quite hate you because you killed all of my friends and everyone who I was close with. But then he tries to weave it in this like...
But we're the same person. We have so much in common. We're both injured
emotionally
in the same way.
And I think one of the important things is he's like, I just want to exist. I just want to be free. I just want the power of two, basically saying I don't want to be lonely to her.
And slathering it in a whole bunch of flattery also. Osha, you're so powerful. They don't recognize how special you are, how wonderful you are. I can't believe they cast you off. They're so cold-hearted and cruel.
But he didn't come out and say that. He just implied some of it. And that's where the sneakiness is. And there's some layers of truth to what he was saying. She probably did need to gain confidence again. She had lost some, obviously, and she was floating. She wasn't doing anything meaningful with her life at the time. So there's probably a layer of truth there totally woven in, and that's where lies can get the most deceptive. And that's why I'm very thankful for prayer and being able to take things to God, because it can calm and shine a light on truth in a situation in a way that nothing else can, especially those really confusing times when there's deception and truth woven together and you're like, what is what here? What is this?
Yeah, and you know, if you meet someone who kills a bunch of people with a laser sword and then won't take responsibility for it, run!
It's a bit of a red flag. Yeah, I would say that's probably not the best relationship to have.
You know, speaking of relationships, some people have said online that they sense some romantic undercurrents, not direct, but undercurrents between Osha and Chimere. What things do you think would make Chimere a good or bad boyfriend?
Well, the fact that he killed all of her friends, I think, would probably say you don't want to be with him.
Oh, stop being so judgy.
That's a bit of an issue there.
I think the fact that he floated into that one scene, I mean, that's kind of weird. You know? A person who floats, levitates, not a good sign.
She also put that like light on his back and all the bugs got him. But he managed to get out unscathed. Makes you wonder.
Mysterious scar. That's a bit sketchy.
Yeah, scars are not.
Where'd you get that big scar?
I wouldn't call that sketchy.
I don't want to talk about it.
No, he was like drawing her in with that. He
was.
Totally did that on purpose. He wanted to be able to talk about that. And then he has this whole like, you can go to get to that ship. You have to leave now if you want to swim to the other side before dark. He's totally just like, you're not a prisoner here. You can leave.
You can totally walk out of your free will later. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on The Acolyte, of course. Thanks so much for listening. We hope this episode has been fun, encouraging, and can't wait to talk more about Star Wars next week. Go ahead and throw your comments in the comments section or head over to our website. You can find some discussion there. as well as our Facebook group. All right, until next time, love ya. Take care, God bless, and bye-bye.